Hi and welcome to another Memories Made video. I'm designer Jen Gallacher, and today I wanted to accept a challenge that I was given to use one collection to create a layout. Now most of the time when I do this, I'm doing this as work for a manufacturer, but I thought it would be fun to show you for my own personal scrapbooks how you can do this. We're going to be using the Made from Scratch collection from Echo Park Paper, and it is a gardening and cooking collection. For the base, we are going to use this 12 by 12 sheet of pattern paper. It does have recipes on one side, and then on the other it has this fun kind of decking looking wood grain on the back. So this is going to serve as the foundation. On top, we're going to place this pattern paper, and it does have kitchen utensils in it, and you can see that I've rounded the two corners. On the back are some different spice words that you could cut out as well in Fussy cut. But we're going to start by placing this reddish pattern paper onto the wood grain pattern paper. Then for the left side of the layout, we're going to use another piece of pattern paper from this fun collection. And I'll be sure to link you to this collection. On the back are some vegetables. So anytime I'm doing a layout, if you prefer one side to the other, go ahead and use it. The vegetables inspired me, but I didn't actually use this side of the paper. You can see again that I've rounded the corners, and some of these items I've done ahead of time. Now when I'm creating a layout, I pre-plan it for you, and then I recreate it. So I am not creating this solely from scratch as I'm talking. I would love to be that inspired, but no, I usually have things pre-made. Then I wanted to bring in a neutral, and a craft is a great color because it is reminiscent of the dirt and the gardening photos that I'm going to use in this particular layout. So we'll go ahead and place this across the layout. Now before I completely stick it down at the top, I've created a tag. And what I did is I took some pattern paper, adds little cross stitchings on the back and then utensils on the front. And then you take a pair of scissors and you snip off the same triangle from each side. Now to turn it into a tag, you simply need a hole punch. You punch a hole in the top and then take some string. And I'm just going to use some twine here. You'll see me use this twine on the page. There's a lot of different ways that you can add twine to a tag. For me, I created a loop, which I fed through the back of the tag. Then I take the two end pieces and I thread them through the loop, and then gently, don't pull too hard because you can rip the paper, gently pull it forward. Then we'll attach this tag behind that craft cardstock. And we're going to tilt it a little bit. And we'll trim off some of this extra twine here. Now from the actual sticker sheet from this Made from Scratch collection is a tag. And you can see I've cut the sticker piece around it so that I could get a feel for it. Again, we're going to add some twine to this particular tag as well. We'll do the same kind of attachment, loop through the front, ends through the back, and then pull them through. You could use ribbon, you could tie the twine differently, it's up to you. Now this one is a sticker, and we just want some of that yellow to show through. Now that we have gotten our tags the way we want, we can go ahead and attach that to the page. Now down the left side of the page, I'm going to use some strips of pattern paper. One is this green chevron that has different little elements that you can cut out on the other side, but I'm using a lot of the tone-on-tone patterns in this page. The green is reminiscent of the plants, so we're thinking about the different colors and things we want to put on this page. And you'll notice that I cut this strip a little bit taller than the red here. For some reason, I just like the look of things to be layered and not all the same size. Another piece of pattern paper from this collection is lemons on one side and a charming little plaid, something you might find on your grandma's apron or an apron that you own. And then from the bottom, I simply snipped off enough to create a little pennant at the bottom. I'll go ahead and attach that to the page as well. And then we're going to loosely attach that. Now, something you'll see me do often is I will add a border strip. And whether you use a border punch or if you've hoarded shape scissors like I have, these are probably my very favorite scissors. They're from Procraft. I haven't seen them on the market anymore, but I like the big scallop in them, so I use them quite frequently. We'll go ahead and attach this to the layout as well. And we're going to stick it underneath that yellow lemon border. And the thing with a border when you're attaching it is that you want to make sure that the same amount of the scallop, the same height of the scallop is showing as much as possible. And then if there's any extra bits of adhesive when you're using a dot runner, did you know that you can use your finger and rub it and it creates these little dots of adhesive that then you can brush off your page. So for those of you like me that change your mind a lot, that's a fun option. Now to the bottom here, I'm going to add a doily, and I cut it so that I'm not wasting it. And when I cut a doily, you can see that I cut it at the same place. So I made sure that I had a small little scalloped edge here and a small scalloped edge on the other side. You want to make sure that the doily is centered. We're just going to mount this right here at the bottom. And I only used part of the doily so that I could come back and use this part another time. So I'll just store this somewhere else. Now, something fun when you are doing journaling is to actually journal on top of the paper that you've already used. So I wanted to journal on craft, so you can see that I've typed this out on craft cardstock, and then I'm going to place it right back onto craft cardstock. And so it's kind of a subtle tone on tone. Now, if you want to make it stand out a little more, one thing you can do is take some brown stamping ink, just ink and distress those edges. Now, this particular ink pad is a little dry, and I keep it on purpose because when I first got it, it was a little darker than I wanted it to be. So I actually purposely let it dry out a little bit until I got that exact tone. So now we can place the journaling right here on top. Now the two photos I'm going to use, as I mentioned before, are gardening photos. And they're 4x6, but I did leave the white border around each of them. Now when I'm placing them down, I want to think about what part of the photo I want to show. And I already know that with this one, I don't need all of it to show. So I'm going to cover it with the second one just a little bit. So I wanted the part where my son is planting a seed to show. You can go ahead and place your journaling back down. Now here at the bottom, I have hand cut some leaves. And these are just done by cutting them out with scissors. They're not traced or anything, I just kind of eyeballed it. I'm going to layer these sticking out from underneath. As I thought about embellishments that I wanted to use, I thought about using some that carried the theme of gardening. So the leaves are gardening. And then this is just a little mustard colored button. And then to the left of that, we're going to add a sticker from the Alpha sticker sheet from this collection that says peas and carrots. To the top of the photo, we're going to add some of the tabbed stickers from the Element sticker sheet. Now, you'll notice that they say desserts and breakfast, which are for recipes. But what we're going to do is we'll come back later and we're going to fill them in with other words that make more sense. And I don't want that to stick down yet until I choose my photos. So I'm just going to use a stick pin to help it stick up a little bit. Now this particular collection includes some fun extras, and one of them is a designer die set, and this particular manual die creates an apple. And the fun thing about manual dies is that you can cut them from whatever paper you want. So you can see here that I have cut the 2 green leaves, I've cut a stem, and I've cut an apple. And I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of this apple. And then instead of attaching all the items to itself, I'm going to actually put them on the page. It'll be a little bit easier since they're such tiny little things. So go ahead and bring our page back. And I'm going to place this onto the page next to the journaling to bring some of that red into 3 different areas. Now for smaller items like this, I'll often use a glue pen. Start with the stem, and you just paint the glue onto the stem and then place it behind. And then you can decide how you want to place the actual leaves on the apple. You can put 2 on one side, you can just use 1 leaf, you can use 2 leaves, you can cut them from pattern paper, it's up to you. If they don't stick with the glue pen, go ahead and use a glue dot. Now also from this collection is a die and stamp set. And how these work is that you stamp first and then you die second. And this tape, I'll show you what I use it for. But I wanted to layer 2 different apples. And I have a red one, but I also wanted to add a green one. So what I did is I used the stamp and green ink and I stamped onto this paper. And then the concept behind this is that you stick the die on top, and I usually use tape to hold it in place, and then you run it through a manual die cut machine and it does all the fussy cutting for you. So let me show you the set again. So you can see that some of the stamps have corresponding dies that go with them. So it just makes the process of creating so much easier. But the fun thing about this is you can use them separately too. You could use the lemon or the milk canister or the measuring cup as just dies, or you can use them with the stamps. So a lot of different options with this. So we'll go ahead and ink the edges of this apple as well. I do like how on this particular stamp, the writing will stay light and the apple will stay dark. There's a few different items on this collection that do that. Attach that over the top. Then right here at the bottom of this particular banner, I'm going to pull it up a little bit and I'm going to use a little bit more of that twine. I'm going to wrap it around a few times, stick it back down, trim it off, and then we'll tie it up into a little bow. And this time, instead of using my typical crochet twine, I use kind of a nubby twine. It reminded me of the twine that you see in this photo that we used for gardening. Across the top here, I'm going to use a sticker, again from the Element sticker sheet, that says sweet as sugar. Now, when you're using a stamp or a die like this, that is die cut, or rather a sticker, one fun thing is to layer it a little bit. And to do that, you've seen me do this a million times, I simply use some foam stickers on the back. And what this does is it creates some shadows and depth on the page, and then the page becomes a lot more interesting. So now we want to go back and bring in some stickers that make some more sense. Wanted to show you the sticker sheet. This is the Alpha sticker sheet. There is a corresponding Element sticker sheet as well. And what you can do is you can pick some of the stickers that you think might work well. And one thing that I often do is if I'm thinking about using a sticker and I don't need all of the sticker, I'm not afraid to cut it to fit what I want it to say. So go ahead and manipulate your stickers. If it's difficult to cut, one thing you can do is you can add baby powder on the back of the sticker, and then it will work just as well too. So we'll add peas in a pod, and we're going to overlap this one a little bit. Make sure we're covering that background white. And peas in a pod makes a lot more sense than just breakfast or something like that. And then for this one, we will do The Life is Delicious. And again, I'm going to cut it to fit what I want. You can use part of the words, all of the words. Stick this down behind a little bit. And we'll remove that pin since we don't need that anymore. And then to the apple, I'm going to take from the Alpha sticker sheet a heart, and I'm going to add a little pop dot to the back of it. I want a little bit of dimension on this particular apple. So there you see a layout in which I've used one collection. I do bring in extra elements such as the twine or a button or a doily just to dress it up a little bit. When you're working with one collection, see if they have additional things such as tools or stickers and things that help make a page more special. Thank you for joining me for today's Memories Made video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of these videos.